I really hope that there are those fitness and health and strength and fixing knees and getting backs feeling good. All those things will happen while the weight may come off, but because weight and scale weight there's a lot of variables involved with what you've eaten before, the weather, the water you've consumed, the stress you're under, the sleep you did or didn't have the night or the day before you weigh in. The weighing scales can be a roller coaster. So one thing I would hope to get you all to understand is that the weighing scales doesn't have any emotion, or it doesn't have any agenda. It's not out to get you or ruin your day. It's just a tool of measurement, one of many that we'll use. If I give you an analogy, let's say if all the tools that we use is this picture, if you can see it or not, Mitch, as it's around the corner, or let's say the weighing scales is half of this block and all the other measurements are halves of each other block. So if we only looked here at this block, which would be the weighing scales, you'd have no idea what the picture is. Could be anything. But if you look at the girth measurements that we just took, if you look at the strength that you're increasing, if you can see, today I lifted at 10, next week I'm lifting at 12, that's a strength increase. I'm sleeping better, I have more energy, my mood, my mental health and my outlook on life is better. That's a full picture, rather than just being like, that bastard scales, I'm throwing it out the window, I hate it, it hates me. That's no good. I'm saying you're totally getting pigeonholed, and it's something that happens, and I perpetuate it, unfortunately, with including the scales in the measurement. But I really would hope, if all those other measurements are going well, you're doing fantastic. The scales is the biggest thing. The biggest use I get with the scales is psychologically, it sets you up. So when we measure scale weight with PT clients, with all of you in the next 10 weeks, it'll be first thing in the morning after you've gotten up, before you've been to the bathroom, before you have any water, 4 to 5 times a week. I usually tell people to do it daily, because then they do it 4 to 5 times a week. If I tell people to do it 4 to 5 times a week, they might do it 2 or 3 times. And what that does, and this isn't my method, it's not my opinion, there's decent research behind daily weigh-ins, that it helps people adopt better weight loss behaviors throughout the day. So if the first thing you do after you maybe turn off the alarm or give someone an elbow beside you to tell them to get up, is to step on the weighing scales, you'll go, oh yeah, why am I doing this? Oh yeah, I'm doing a 10 week or something. Owen, I think his name was, and then you're like, oh, he said something about breakfast. And you've started already, the gears are turning for that day. And people that think about health and fitness more often than people that don't usually act on those behaviors. And if you're in the habit of doing things for your health and fitness, that's the money that we're dealing with. The habits, okay? There is no program. I know it's called a 10-week program, but there is no magic program. Unfortunately, if I did, I'd be handing it out. I have handed out a few things for you. And basically, the first couple of pages just gives a bit of an outline to how to set yourself up based off habits, based off behaviors, busts a couple of myths due to kind of what part training will have in this. Training will build muscle, it'll build strength, it'll help your back, it'll help your knees. Fitness will be built in the gym, as well as maybe running, as well as doing walks, steps, okay? In terms of the nutrition then, that is the bread and butter, for use of a better analogy, that will help you lose weight. And I'll go through that with you all individually when we check in on a Friday. The page with the big black writing, they're the big rocks. If there was one thing that you took from the whole book, is those, I think it's 4 parts that we want to exercise to train, whether that will be here and maybe some other things. We want to become more active using a Fitbit or equivalent, a step counter. That's usually, again, if we want to measure things if possible, rather than I'm going to get fit someday. Well, if you measure your steps and you're doing 5,000 steps a day, and that's an average over a week, and then you increase it to 6,000 steps the next week, an average over a week, well, you have increased your movement, and that may mean that your fitness has increased, as long as you aren't just doing this and getting steps, that you're actually out, maybe running or jogging or walking or dancing or frolicking through the meadows, whatever you like to do. That's going to be important. And there's another one in there, tracking your food. Understanding what you're eating, how much of it you're eating, and the effect that is having on the measurements, the scale, weight, how you feel, okay? Initially, weight loss is an accountancy task. It's an equation of calories in versus calories out. But if only it was that simple, I wouldn't have a job, because I just basically give you a few symbols and maybe an Excel, and away you go. But it needs to be adapted, because 2,000 calories to one person, depending on what foods they pick to make up that, could leave them hungry, could leave them stressed, could leave them wanting more the next day, or that could be too much. So when I give you all a rough estimate of how many calories you're consuming, what we'll need to do, and we'll do this together, is we'll break down that amount of calories into the foods you like to eat, into the times you like to eat, how you like to cook. And there's going to be a lot in that, and there can be a lot of trial and error, where you kind of put your food, whether it's writing it on a journal. We usually do it two ways here. MyFitnessPal, the app, anyone ever used it before? I know you have, Karen. It's an app on your phone that you open up. Let's say porridge for breakfast, and there's 2 scoops out of the bag. That's 60 grams. Porridge, 60 grams, 200 calories. Okay, that's what breakfast was. Or if you don't like apps, or if you've had a bad experience with technology and losing weight, a piece of paper, buy a journal or a copybook, write down Monday the 18th, breakfast, line, porridge, 60 grams. And then we know what you're eating and what you like to eat, when you like to eat it, and then based off where you need to be. So based off your weight, your height, your level of activity, your gender, we can get an idea of where your basic calories will kind of end up for you to lose weight. So you've probably all heard that average male should eat 2,500 calories to maintain a healthy weight, and a female 2,000. Well, that's the average, okay? And that's taken from everyone, so no one's the average really. Everyone's like a little deviation left or right. So we'll work initially with a calorie amount and say, look, 2,000 calories equals, for Karen, a breakfast of a porridge and 2 eggs, a lunch of a sandwich and a salad, a dinner of a steak, potatoes, and a snack of a curly whirly. That's 1,600 calories. So 2,000 was her maintenance, because if we figure out the amount of food that has our weight going steady, that's a good thing to know, because then we can go, right, let's lose half the porridge, let's swap the curly whirly for an apple. If even, they'd be the same calories, so technically that you wouldn't even need to do that, but we'd say less potato maybe, or something. And I haven't given you a meal plan, I haven't told you you have to eat broccoli, chicken, only mince, that's lean and organic. There won't be any of that. I won't force you to do anything. I try to lead you down some kind of form of discovery that you're like, right, if you're here, something's possibly going awry. That's fair enough to say. So that can be foods that you kind of eat, but you don't really engage with them, kind of picking. So I always get, everyone comes into me, I eat healthy, yogurt for breakfast, small sandwich for lunch, meat and veg for dinner, that's it. I'm like, really? Is that it? I was like, that sounds like about 1,000 calories. Like, that sounds like you should be invisible after losing so much weight off that. So I have to figure out, along with you, where are these calories sneaking in? And you may be shocked to find out like that the biscuit that you have every now and again, when we tot it up, could be 1,000 calories over a week. And you're like, wow, that's an extra half day. So I'm eating 7.5 days a week, and that was just the biscuit, for want of an example. I had someone only last week check in with me online, and they honestly, genuinely totted up their lattes that they have throughout the week, 1,800 calories. He was on 1,900 calories a day to lose weight. So he was nearly adding a day a week of lattes. And all what we did, he halved them. Because I was like, would you not have black coffee? He was like, no. Okay. I was like, okay, what can we do? He's like, maybe I can have one a day. I was like, well, give that a solid go. And he did. He was like, geez, you know what? One a day. And he dropped 800 calories out of his week, like, right? To give you an example, I know you may or may not have heard about calories and all this stuff before. This is 1 pound of fat is about 3,500 calories, okay, for 1 pound of fat, between 3 and 4, okay? So if we want to lose one of those a week, we need to be in a deficit, or we need our bank account to be debited by 3,500 a week in order for it to go down. So that's why I talk sometimes in accountancy and money terms, because people can understand bank accounts. Like, if you're going around spending, buying stuff, earning a wage, but you never look at your bank account, you have no idea how much money is coming in or going out. And that's a similar example to the food equation. There's a hell of a lot more in it, but if you can grasp just that the in versus out is the bedrock where we'll build all the timing, the types of food, the train, what we eat before and after training. Should I eat white bread or brown bread? What about sweet potatoes? All those nice to haves are worth nothing unless we have the equation, that we understand it's calories in versus calories out. Something I would love you all to watch in the next few days, they're on YouTube, they're on Channel 4, is a program called Secret Eaters. And basically they underreport from anything from 50 to 100%. So you get a female saying, I'm only eating 1,500 calories a day. What's going on? I'm gaining a stone a year. And then your one goes, right, we followed you for 5 days. Here's everything you ate. It works out about 3,500. And she's just like, and it is news to them, because all these little bits and pieces add up. So it's a case of we need to just figure out what you like to eat, how you like to eat it, because I'm not here to give you chicken and broccoli by 6. Talk to you when you're in the next class. That doesn't work, because that's just a route to failure. Barely even works with a professional athlete who would be like, yes, input data and do work and get gold medal. They barely are able to do that because they'll blow up eventually. So that's what I don't want. It's a real, for want of a better word, holistic approach that will work with you as long as you can be honest. And that's one of the first paragraphs, to be as honest as possible with your intake when you're recording it and when you're saying it to me. And that is the slow but sure road to weight loss. Yes, sometimes on these programs people lose anything from 5 to 15 kilos, but there are also people that lose nothing. People have gone through this 10-week program, lost no weight, but they're stronger, they're fitter, they're happier, their clothes fit better, the measurements are better, and they just feel good about themselves. And then they go, oh, but I can lose any weight. And I'm like, but that's not the be all and end all. Do you know, I'd rather be the way I am and happy than look like Arnold Schwarzenegger and hate life, because it's not worth it, okay? Examples of meals. Okay, so this is basically a 1,500 calorie day as an example. And I always have to say, please don't follow it to a T, because if you do, well, you can, but just try and fit your own preferences in it. And if you just move on to the next page, it just goes through some options that you can have for breakfast and dinner. You'll hear me harping on about 2 things in particular, is the amount of calories that is in food and the amount of protein that is in food. If things have high amounts of protein, which is meat and fish and dairy and eggs and supplements and lentils and some beans and some vegetables, they're good choices. The source is up to you. things that are low in calories is usually things that are high in protein, things that are fruit and vegetables, and all the stuff we know we should eat, but we just forget sometimes, and sometimes turns into years, and that's just the way it happens. So I'll be giving you options so you know you can go out and buy these things and consume them and feel full and feel energized, but also add your own twist. Calorie control guide with the nutrition. Again, I don't want to just say 2,000 calories, best of luck, let me know how it gets on. That'll be based off how many meals you eat. If you eat 2 meals, 1,000 calories a meal, that's a great way to live if you can somehow do it, but the amount of meals you eat, up to yourself. Some days I eat 4 meals a day, some days I eat 3. What decides that? Usually this place, where if I'm busy or going without food 6, 7, 8 hours, it's fine. Like you don't die, you don't waste away, the world doesn't stop. You might be hungry initially, but you find it does level out. And for those, would everyone here eat breakfast? Okay? So who would skip breakfast here? Okay? So, and I'm kind of skipping forward to a myth, but when I was trying to lose weight for a bodybuilding competition there I did a few weeks ago, one of the things that helped me a lot was I started to skip breakfast. And that might seem unhealthy and counterintuitive, but I wasn't that hungry in the morning. And I ate breakfast because it was breakfast time. And that was just a habit. So I said, right, when I used to get home from here, I'd be very hungry and I'd look at my calories and I'd be like, I have 600 calories left. Feck, that's not enough. I'd eat those 600 calories and I'd be like, now what? Just go to bed hungry and just hate this diet. So I said, right, what I'll do, I won't eat till about 12. So I get up about 8, and that was fine, had a coffee, not hungry. Then I have normal lunch, normal yogurt or whatever before I come down here. And then I added an extra 400 or 500 calories to post work, whenever that is, last meal of the day. And I lost weight a lot, and it was a lot easier. But for those, and here's the funny thing, because again, it's never black and white, and it's never this easy. When you look at research, right, people that skip breakfast, not as like it was my method to lose weight. People skip breakfast usually because they're busy, or they're not that interested in food, or something else is taking up their time. And they found when they put skippers on breakfast, they actually lost weight because they made better choices because they were forced to eat breakfast. So they probably got up earlier, so they probably went to bed earlier. Then with more sleep, they had more energy. Then they were able to go training, and it just cascaded into them being healthier. And those that eat breakfast normally and are having struggles with their weight, it's an easy meal to go chop. I wasn't hungry in the morning. I was a ravenous monster at night. So I made sure to eat most of my food in the evening and not in the morning. Caveat, and I say this in one of the paragraphs, caveat to it would be if you're training very early. Usually if you have a meal at night, it hasn't gone anywhere, it's still in your muscles ready to be used. But sometimes just if you're training at 5 or 6 in the morning, you might have a cup of tea with some milk, just to have something in the system that if you need it, it's kind of readily available. So you never want to go training in the morning and faint. And you might have heard about training with or without food and the benefits. Small stuff doesn't really matter. So for the calories, this gives you an idea. There's slight changes for Mitch in that. It just gives you a portion control measurement that is with you everywhere you go, your hand. So for females, if you're looking to add protein, which will be meat or fish or eggs or whatever, it's the palm of your hand. I think, Mitch, it's a fist for you, and then it goes from veg and carbohydrates, which pastas or potatoes or whatever, and then thumb for the fats, okay? The next page, if you want to just roll it on, is just 10 facts about back pain. This is just if anyone gets a niggle or not sure about that, if you have one already, or if you get one in the next few weeks. Some good things to read up that will just reassure you that niggles are not necessarily damage. They can just be safety mechanisms of the body telling you to be careful based off previous injuries or bad experiences with positions, alright? How to keep it off. Who here has lost weight quickly before and put it on even quicker? Yeah, and that's it's scary how quickly it can go back on when you just let the dogs out or go to Lanzarote last week and enjoy yourself a bit too much. So like the way you eat, that sounds good. Like the way you exercise. I hope everyone tolerates what we do here, maybe likes it eventually. Regular check-ins, that'll be with me on a Friday. We'll go through all this individually with each one of you on a Friday and make sure I have the right email for everyone, and manage sleep and stress. Like, even if you just did 4, all the rest would just be a walk in the park. And I know if some of you, if you work odd hours and night shifts and all this, or have young kids or babies that don't care about your health and fitness goals, it'll be tougher, but it's not impossible. Don't believe for a second, I have a baby now, it's me, done, just have to live with 2 hours of sleep a night. With exercise and with healthy eating, when you do catch an hour here and there, you'll sleep a bit better. And what I want to do is just, I'll get your calories and I'll give you an idea of how much you should eat. You can look at the sample guides that are in there of the shoppiness and the foods. What does that look like for me based off your own preferences, okay? And then I'll be asking you to track using your phone, MyFitnessPal. Those that don't know what it is, try it. Those that know what it is and like it, definitely use it. And those that know what it is and don't like it, well, then we can look at a food journal, which is just writing it down. And then I have an Excel spreadsheet for everyone that has one set of columns, and you've seen it before, where we put in the different calories. And there's a couple of extra columns, steps. Those that are tracking steps, we can put them in. Sleep, there's a column. Those that want to just figure out sleep, and like, I would just, when I track it for myself, I'd be like, I had 6 hours last night, so I put that in, and then the next night I'm like, I try and get an 8, and then they'll average out. So your sleep average, if it's like an 8 average, that's okay, you're getting there. Well, like, if you had a 15 hour and like a 2 hour, and that's how we were averaging it, Jesus, I would ask what's going on there. And then there's the final column on it is how you're doing. Just give me some feedback, and I'll get that in the email anyway. I'll be asking you what is the plan of attack. What we'll do then is, I booked you all in based off what you said about the classes, what times you'd like to come. You booked in for the next month. I put them up every month, so I'll just be asking you again. You don't need to worry about bookings, basically. I'll just worry about that for you. And the check-in will be that when I share the Excel spreadsheet with you, I'll share it with you all tomorrow. I want you to update it in some, if you have anything from this week, you might have a few things, a bit of tracking done tomorrow. Those of you might have already started. If you can update a few of these things on tomorrow night, and tomorrow, Thursday, forevermore, let it be the time you do the few bits for me, and I check them on a Friday, because it's a live document. What I'll send you, it's a Google Sheet, so you get it on your computer, or you can use it on your phone. I'd advise using your desktop computer, because it's bigger and you can just type in it a little easier. And if anyone is just like, don't have either of those things, we'll figure out another method with email somehow. But when you get it, you just have to put in the data, and I automatically get it back, so you don't need to send it or save it. It's just a live document. You plug in, Tuesday, look at MyFitnessPal, 50 grams of protein, or Tuesday, look at your journal, 4 servings of protein, and bang that in, and I'll be able to help you then with some recommendations about that. And we'll do measurements again in 5 weeks' time, and we'll do it again at the end. Any questions? And feel free to email me tonight if you don't want to ask me now, tomorrow, whatever. My email, obviously my email is open all the time, so email me on a Saturday, a Sunday, a Monday, whenever you want to email me. But any questions about any part of it at the moment?
How many times a week should we come here?
Good question. How many times a week are you currently training in any shape or form?
No.
So 2 is probably a good start that you can nail and have a day or 2 between them, if possible.
Okay.
If after 2 weeks you're like, this is too easy, then you can come 3 times and come 4 times. You know, build into it that like in week 10 you're like, I'm training every day. Oh, it's the best thing ever, rather than starting too quickly. But yeah, that's a good one.